Yes, Donald Trump, even though he clearly wants to take full control of the strategic Persian Gulf region, may not actually possess enough military or political strength to provide meaningful help to the many protesters currently demonstrating in Iran. In recent days, the Donald Trump administration has repeatedly stated that it is considering various military options against Iran, where the regime is brutally suppressing the mass protests that began at the end of December. So, since the end of December, there have been mass protests because Trump wants to remove the Ayatollahs, the spiritual leaders, and install his own Shah, Reza Pahlavi, the son of the former Shah, because the real Shah was killed, executed in 1978, and his entire family, absolutely everyone, including all his children and grandchildren, were executed. But now there's this new Shah, Reza Pahlavi. Yeah, I don't know where he came from, but that's the situation. That's why the Ayatollahs are actively resisting, of course. And the American president is supposedly dissatisfied, and he will also brutally suppress the people of Iran for his own benefit in order to bring to power, though it's unclear how real he is, the son of Shah Reza Pahlavi, who's also named Reza Pahlavi. So Reza Pahlavi II, got it? Number 2, so at the end of December, yes, today is mid-January, these protests have been going on for 3 weeks, almost a month now. Before that, in order to blockade Venezuela, it was necessary to deploy their ships. At that time, an opposition to Trump formed in Congress. Congress is dissatisfied with Trump's actions abroad, and they are not willing to support a military operation in the Persian Gulf. And last year, Trump redirected an aircraft carrier and other ships from the Middle East to the Caribbean Sea. They are still there. The aircraft carrier that Trump sent to the Middle East was meant to support Israel's strikes on Iran in June 2025. So Israel strikes and Trump provides support, so that under no circumstances would Iran resist. And do you remember supposedly a grain warehouse exploded in an Iranian port? It was apparently a nuclear bomb, it seems, of low yield, a small charge. But it was easier to say that the grain warehouse exploded because of the sun, because of the heat. And there was a mushroom cloud over the port. A mushroom cloud, just a regular mushroom cloud, yes. So, this so-called maintenance of peace, I'm not for either order. Both of these political systems are completely useless and fundamentally chaotic. They only serve to systematically oppress the common people. Both orders are failures. Under the long leadership of Muammar Gaddafi, the nation of Libya was actually flourishing and prosperous. It was a wonderful country. And what about now? Now Libyans walk around like shadows, half-starved, unemployed. The country has been ruined. The whole country has simply been ruined. In order to start a big war, a major reset with a great sacrifice, you have to begin ruining each country from afar. That's what's happening in the Middle East. They are ruining one country after another. Consequently, another devastating Holocaust of the Jewish people will begin. Who will be to blame for this? Tell me. Genocide will begin. But for now, it will be carried out by the Jews themselves. What happens next, we don't know. Of course, there will be raids, the Arabs again. But the raid on October 7th was strange. It didn't look like something the Arabs would do. I've already told you about this. It didn't seem like an Arab operation. It was too clever. Arabs can only be led by someone else. They are soldiers, but not leaders. Throughout the entire Middle East, the whole Middle East is filled with Stalin's children, all the presidents and their successors. One president replaces another. They are all Stalin's children, and maybe some are from his inner circle. But most likely, it's only Stalin's children who are taking those seats. Because just like Putin with the girls, he gave rise to a whole generation of women aged from 20 to 45 or 50. Putin gave rise to a whole generation. Today they are all leaders of our world. They sit in international parliaments and in international courts. And where don't they sit, right? These are Putin's children. Girls. And Stalin gave boys sons. He had girls too, but we know nothing about their fate. And I don't envy and never would. One could only feel sorry for Svetlana, Stalin's daughter. After all, we really don't know anything, do we? And the truth might turn out to be very harsh, cruel, and frightening. But Svetlana kept silent, and her children kept silent too. As for all the others like Vasily Stalin and the rest, they were simply deprived of life early on. Some drank themselves to death. Anything could have happened. We, my friends, don't know any of this. Who was an alcoholic who drank themselves to death? Who was a drug addict? But what we actually see today is not what happened 100 years ago, or 50 or 80. We can truly see today what is happening in our world. Who is sniffing white powder? Who is an alcoholic? Who is gay? Right? All of this is visible, but we are forced to endure it. We are sheep, we are the flock, the ones herded by shepherds, and they tell us stories. And whatever they say, that's what we'll do, we'll repeat it too. Who cares what they tell us? They tell us such nonsense, such tall tales about the ancient history of the Vatican, about the ancient history of the popes. None of it ever happened. Everything is recent. Everything was constructed not long ago, and all the old things were destroyed, including all the palaces. Are there any palaces on the territory of Russia? No. Ones like Versailles? No. We have a barn. The Winter Palace, which is supposed to be the residence of the Tsars. That's a barn. It's not a royal residence. It's literally a barn that was built in a hurry. It was built very quickly. But it's a barn. Right? Well, admit it, friends. Just look at all the palaces, at the castles, at the palaces. Look abroad, where not everything has been destroyed yet. But in Russia, everything has been wiped out completely. They bombed Siberia specifically to destroy all the buildings, all the palaces. And what about Crimea? You see, the Livadia Palace is also half a barn, because it belonged to Tsar Nicholas II. That's why it's a barn. And all the real palaces in Crimea were bombed long ago, and the remnants were cleaned up during the Second World War. I'm Tanya Karatsubo, said Burkhan, January 14th, 2026. Don't lose heart, everything is fine. Live your own life.